coming back saying that we've reduced it from 1,000 shillings to 300 shillings when you've actually tripled the original price.
Yes.
And this is ridiculous. The 50,000 shilling for marriage certificate, we live in a country where people make 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 shillings a month.
In fact,
Mika, please talk to us. What service charges were this and what exactly is happening and what do people need to know? Mika.
Okay, Ali, thank you. So the thing that happened here is that on the 7th of this month, there was a release of the special issue Kenyan Gazette that was that had the new prices that had been set up by the government for service delivery charges to the citizens of Kenya. And among one of those controversial things that were put in place was that the first-time application ID prices rose from 100 shillings going up to 2,000, up to 1,000 shillings. And then renewal of replacement of an ID moved from 100 shillings again and went up to 2,000 shillings. The passport prices also went up, and the passport issuance prices went up. Another one that was pretty controversial was the visa prices, especially visa prices for
the business visa.
The business visa and visa prices for diasporans returning with their children. Another thing was the registering of diasporan children born to diasporans.
Yeah.
So basically, Omosh Sayuki Amokupataka Junior, you were supposed to pay at least 2,000. I think it was coming to $2,000. $2,000. It was totaling up to 1 million Kenyan shillings in getting in registering
1.2.
Your child. Yeah. Marriage certificates went up to 50,000 Kenyan shillings.
But surely, how do you start a home?
I think registration of lawful residency went from 200,000 to 1 million Kenyan shillings. Registration of Kenyan children went from 20,000 Kenyan shillings to 100. It went to 1 million shillings, and then it has been reduced to 100,000 Kenyan shillings. So after an uproar by the citizens of Kenya, and especially on social media, both on social media and just in discussions in radios and other media forums, on this one happened on the 14th of November. Another special gazette was issued, and this one was actually debuted by none other than Mr. Dennis Ole Itumbi, and he said that pending public participation, the government listens to Kenya and has reduced and revoked. Yeah, he said the Gazette notice published last week has been revoked. New rates have been published for public participation. So the first-time ID application prices dropped from the shillings 1,000 they were proposing to shillings 300. And then they will say that applicants who demonstrate inability to pay were to be granted waivers. ID replacement fees went from shillings 2,000, which had been proposed, to shillings 1,000. And he insisted that there will be digital IDs that will be unveiled in December this year. So technically, if you lose your ID and you want to renew your ID right now, you will get the new government offered digital IDs. You will not need to carry a copy of your ID. So I don't know if you carry it on your phone or where you carry it, but because the smartphone coverage in Kenya is not that huge enough where you can tell everybody to have a digital ID. And then we had regaining citizen fees that were revised to 50,000 Kenyan shillings. The declaration of dual citizenship went to 10,000 Kenyan shillings. Endorsement of a Kenyan passport went to Kenya shillings 10,000. And then, let me see, citizenship went to 1 million. Citizenship registration for lawful residency went to 1 million Kenyan shillings. Registration of children they revised it from 1 million Kenyan shillings and reduced it to 100,000 Kenyan shillings. And then stateless persons, refugees to be registered to become Kenyan citizens was reduced again from 100,000 Kenyan shillings to 10,000 Kenyan shillings. Registration of citizenship by migrants was again pegged at 10,000 Kenyan shillings. And I'm trying to look for the passport I have. E-citizen.
Passport is go ahead.
E-citizen.
Yeah, e-citizen. Where was it?
No.
Actually, I think I messed up my numbers. So the lawful residents with spouses and children actually is 50,000 Kenya. 50,000 Kenya shillings. It's 50,000 Kenya shillings. And then for the whole family, which usually was 500,000, is now 750,000 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
If you marry somebody who's not a Kenyan and you want them to become Kenyans, you will have to pay 50,000 Kenya shillings for them. That is together with an issuance fee. So the issuance fee is 150,000 Kenya shillings. So you will have to pay 200,000 Kenya shillings to register them. Visas prices also went up. A single entry visa moved from $50 to $100. 5-year multiple entry visa went from $100 to $500. Extension of visa after 6 months. After 6 months, which was free, became $200. Referral or multiple entry visa processing fee went from $10 to $100. Transit visas went from $20 to $50. East African tourist visa remained at $100. That one didn't change. An ETA, also known as an electronic travel authorization, that is for countries that are transiting through Kenya, which we didn't have that. Now it's being charged at $30, like it is in Europe. Passport fees, diplomatic passports rose from 7,500 to 50,000 Kenya shillings. Ordinary passport, 34 pages, went from 4,500 Kenya shillings to 7,500 Kenya shillings. 50-page passport went from 6,000 to 9,500. A 66-page went from 7,500 to 12,500 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
The temporary permit that you use to travel in East Africa went from or traveling home when you've lost your passport, went from 300 Kenya shillings to 1,000 Kenyan shillings. So basically, we can see there was still some increase in the fee, and the Gazette also have a lot of other fees which I'm not going to touch on because it's going to take a lot of time.
Okay.
But we can say that the original Gazette had an increase of around between 200 to 400%. This revision of theirs seems to have an increase of between 100 to 300%.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mika, for that
ushuru ilipwe
detailed analysis.
That's not ushuru.
But
Whatever it is.
I'm slowly starting to have a theory.
Yes.
And there's
theorize away, my friend.
And there's a certain pattern that this government follows whenever they're doing anything. And I don't know whether they don't realize that people can see this. I don't know how foolish they think people are. The pattern they have is that, for example, if they want to, let's say, grab 1,000 shillings from you, so what they're gonna do, they're gonna quickly grab 5,000 shillings, and then when you complain that why are you grabbing 5,000 shillings from me, they'll say, okay, let's do public participation. Then after public participation, they'll say we've reduced the 5,000 shillings we grabbed to 3,000 when this money wasn't theirs in the first place. So they have this pattern where they throw something out, that they know the public is gonna see. Then there's uproar. Then they're gonna use those new numbers as the anchors, And then they'll get, like their spin masters like Dennis Itumbi to say that the government, take for example ID, from 100 shillings to 1,000 shillings, and they're now coming back saying that we've reduced it from 1,000 shillings to 300 shillings when you've actually tripled the original price.
Yes.
And this is ridiculous. The 50,000 shilling for marriage certificate, we live in a country where people make 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 shillings a month.
In fact, if you find somebody making 30, they are above the mean.
Yeah, and then now you're asking people to pay 50,000 shillings for a marriage certificate. At that point,
and we all do the traditional thing where people go and give. By the time you've done all of that, utaenda kanisani surely.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Ruth?
I think my biggest reaction to what you just said is maybe they've decided to do public participation by going to social media, by gazetting things instead of actually before you gazette anything, I think you're supposed to actually do the public participation tour, talk to people, have people's input, come up with numbers, go back and see if people are okay with that before you come and gazette it. But it feels like gazetting it is the public participation for the government. And may I say, I don't think
it's a trial period between now and December when they make it official.
I guess, but thing is not only. I don't think it's only this government. I think governments before have done the same thing. Not Kibaki government, but at least Uhuru government does the same thing.
What this government, so Uhuru's government would just do stuff. They'd say, we're increasing this, and they increase it.
Okay.
But this government, they have this need to be in good books in public opinion. So they do these ridiculous things. And they did the same thing with I think the housing levies and all these other levies. They throw a ridiculous number, and then they say, okay, maybe, they write a draft law, then they throw it out to the public, then APRO media talks about it. So someone needs to do something about this, because
I feel they're actually doing that now to call that public participation.
The problem, they've been using public participation to say that this is what the public said, when in essence, right now, we don't have a proper public participation law, because what exactly is public participation?